ideology, and that's where we get most of the flexibility from. And that's where the flexibility needs to start happening, especially in today's Muslim world, the Islamic world. And I just want to kind of do some aside too, especially people in the chat. The Muslim world needs to be reformed. I don't believe Islam needs to be reformed. Okay, but I believe the Muslim world needs to be reformed because Islam is very flexible and can reform the Muslim world. But the Muslim world definitely needs to be reformed. Even in the less extreme elements in the Muslim world, they need to be reformed as well. In particular, regarding a lot of these interpretations of Sharia. And that's actually what's happening right now, believe it or not. I mean, I don't know if any of you have read Tariq Ramadan. For instance, he would be considered what I would say is the Martin Luther of the Islamic world right now. But he has a lot of good on the subject.
Okay. But anyway, my questions is done. We're now going to move on to your questions, then followed up by the video submissions. So what is your question for me? Fire away.
To be honest with you, I didn't have anything prepared because I was just hoping this conversation to make them up on the side. So I'm going to answer. I'm going to actually ask them. Yeah, I'm lazy like that. I know.
I had a full list prepared. It's like, oh my god. Did you just want to go into the video questions?
Not necessarily. Okay. I mean, I was hoping to go into. I had some in my mind.
Okay, go ahead.
I just didn't know what really to ask you. But for instance, I was going to ask, for instance, one question like, where do you get your morality from? Where do you consider morality to be? Why specifically do you not believe in God? And also, what is your opinion on religion? Can it coexist?
Okay. Let me focus on where do you get your morality from? Let me answer that first. In my opinion, I get my morality from my environment. Primarily, I learned my morality from my parents, my teachers, my peers, and my friends. Now, of course, some people have immoral parents, and as a result, sometimes they raise immoral children. But the thing is, you can be moral with religion, and you can also be moral without religion. For example, I have not killed anybody. At least I don't think I have. There was that one guy, but he got his shoes back. It was just a thing. We were fighting over a woman. But anyway, I don't steal. I don't lie. Well, technically that was a lie because I lie. But I mean, I do my thing. I try to help people as best I can. I try to make the world a better place around me. But in my opinion, having a religious foundation is not necessary for morality, because my morals was taught to me by my parents, my teachers, my fellow classmates when I was growing up in school, and also the friends around me. For example, friends, if I were to do something, some of my close friends would say, "Hey, HappyCabbie, come here. What you did, that wasn't cool." They would talk to me and say, "You know what, you're right, that wasn't cool. I'm going to go make that right." That's where I get my morality from. In my opinion, people who claim that they get their morality from a Bible, from a Quran, or something like that, in my opinion, it doesn't, because, I'll be honest with you, my expertise is in the Bible. When I was a Christian, I knew that thing inside and out, okay? And I can tell you there's a lot of immoral things in the Bible, and as I'm beginning to read into the Quran, I'm also finding some pretty questionable things. For example, Muhammad marrying the 6-year-old girl. I mean, even though it's in the 5th century, to me, that's immoral. And if Muhammad is to be held up as a standard for Muslims to live by, and then, of course, what I brought up earlier, did Muhammad kill people? You're questioning the veracity of the source, but, but it's in question. It's not a definite refuted. So, in my opinion, Muhammad may not be the best example to follow. That's my answer to that.
Okay, I just wanted to bring up some things real quick. You had stated that you got your morality from some society, yet you were judging past societies and societies that are foreign to you on some sort of standard. But are you judging on the basis of your own society standards, or is it a standard that is above that?
In my opinion, the 21st century society, Western civilization, is, for the most part, there are things that, for example, the United States have done wrong. For example, you know, like racism. You know, we had slavery. You know, well, that wasn't in the 21st century, but I mean, there are things that we've done. One thing that I particularly don't like about the United States is, you know, we pretty much tend to police the world. We kind of, you know, stick our noses where they don't belong, and we're all upset about other people having nuclear weapons, but yet we're just, you know, up to our arms in nuclears and say, well, we can have nuclear weapons, but we just don't want anybody else to. Now, granted, that's good for us, because as Americans, you know, we're pretty safe and secure that, hey, nobody's going to be launching nukes against us because we can kick their ass. So for Americans, that works really good. However, I can also see if I was a citizen of Iran, for example, I'd be looking at Americans like, so how come you get to have nukes and we don't? Now, if I was an Iranian citizen, I would have that perspective. But in my opinion, for the most part, the Western civilization, 21st century culture is superior to the Arab world in the 5th century. We don't have child brides, you know, we don't have, you know, tribes going around. I mean, we have gang violence, but, you know, we pretty much run a civilized society. That's my thing.
Okay. I'm still trying to, I'm not trying to, like, I am trying to understand.
Okay.
But are you subscribing to some sort of moral relative? And when we say superior, I'm trying to figure out why it's superior. Like, why necessarily? Usually, I hear, like, for instance, I hear a lot of atheists either back sort of utilitarian argument, or say that morality should be based around survival. And I have problems with these two particular.
No, see, for me, morality isn't based on survival, because if it was, we would just say, you know what, screw all you guys with your little death threats, we'll just go ahead and send over a whole bunch of nukes, and that'd be the end of it. In my opinion, that's not the right thing to do. What is the right thing to do, in my opinion, is doing exactly what you and I are doing. Instead of saying, it's like, well, they won't listen, you know, I mean, you and I are sitting here talking. You know, how come, you know, Ahmadinejad, or whatever his name is, in Iran, and you know, people from the United States, how come they can't get on blog TV and just, you know, learn about each other? Because a lot of this is what we're doing. You don't understand. You just said it's like you're not really understanding where I'm coming from. It's like there's a lot of people who don't know anything about the Muslim culture. People fear what they don't understand, and when they see the stuff on the news. You know, I mean, you never see a news story. It's like, well, a bunch of Muslims went out and you know, painted some fences and, you know, fixed a park in an inner city. You never see news stories like that. You'll see news stories about Christians doing that, but you'll never see a story about Muslims doing that. Whenever Muslims are in the news, it's the guys with the signs shouting and stuff like that. And for example, the Washington Post made this. It's like, hey, there's this protest going on, you know, about Facebook, and the Washington Sun, yes, you know, in Pakistan, he said 1.87 million people, and it's like a crowd of over 100 people went out and chanted, and then they found something that's like, yeah, we're going to bomb the embassies. This is what I read when I read that story. Out of 1.87 million people in Pakistan, 100 bothered to show up for the protest. I mean, 0.0000001%. There was never a story that said, you know, a million Muslims basically, you know, didn't really care about Dra Muhammad Day. No, the news story was the 100. You know, so
yeah.
when I say that, you know, my culture is superior, I'm looking at things that I see going on in, like, the Muslim culture, like Saudi Arabia. You know, what they're doing, saying it's like, hey, you know, you women, you